Well, during President Biden's NATO summit meetings, he also met with a bipartisan Senate delegation on the U.S. response to Vladimir Putin's actions, ongoing invasion of Ukraine. A Republican leader of that group told reporters it wasn't just the senators' meeting that was a success.
I do believe that he knows the major issues. I think that the administration has played a key part in what's made this summit a success.
Right. Republican senator there calling the summit a success. I spoke with Democratic Senator Shaheen, also part of that congressional delegation, while we were in Madrid. She said the U.S. was leaving Spain with more confidence that NATO is responding appropriately to Russia's aggression.
I think the NATO countries have been very effective in supporting Ukraine, and the addition of Sweden and Finland is very exciting, and it's reassurance to the Baltic countries, who are very concerned about the threat from Russia, to Poland, who is also very concerned, all of the Eastern European countries. And I think everyone will leave this summit with an appreciation for the increased support in Eastern Europe against the threat from Putin.
I spoke to the Estonian Prime Minister yesterday, and they are somewhat confident things are changing, but still fearful that they may be next. And I wonder, do Americans underestimate the possibility that Russia may attack NATO members next?
Well, I think the Baltic countries have been very vocal about the importance of having troops there to protect against Russia's future aggression, because they invaded Ukraine unprovoked, because of the horrific acts of violence there, the attacks on civilians. I think everyone's very concerned about the potential for future aggression. But that's why the strength of NATO is so important. That's why putting additional troops in Eastern Europe and the Baltics is so important, and why Sweden and Finland joining NATO is so important. But make no mistake, the goal here is to do everything we can to support Ukraine in this courageous fight against Russia to defeat Putin and his aggression.
It was far from guaranteed that an agreement would be reached here in Madrid on Finland and Sweden's joining NATO. What made the difference? Were you surprised that it came together here, and what made it cross the finish line?
Well, I was very pleased. I'm leading a bipartisan delegation with Tom Tillis from North Carolina. We visited Helsinki and Stockholm on our way here to show our support in the Senate, bipartisan support for their joining NATO, and I was pleased that they were able to negotiate with NATO and Turkey a settlement that was acceptable to everyone, and that their accession is going forward. So I think it's a real tribute to both Finland and Sweden, to Turkey, and to NATO and the Secretary General here.
Putin's view, something I hear consistently from, again, European diplomats here, is that he can wait out the U.S. He can wait out NATO. He can bear the economic cost, that in other words, the West will blink before he blinks. And I wonder, what's your response to that? Are you convinced that the U.S. and Europe can withstand the costs of this war over time? Or are you concerned that the resolve weakens?
Well, we've had a number of those discussions, both with our U.S. officials who are here in Madrid and with our allies, with the Germans, with the British, with others. We did a forum yesterday where we talked about this and the importance of all of us as officials making clear to our publics, our voters, why this fight is so important. The fact is, this is about whether we are going to allow a dictator, a brutal dictator like Vladimir Putin, to violate the international order, to go into a country unprovoked, to interfere with that country's own decision-making process, with their own vision of what they want to be in the future. And we can't let that happen. This is about whether democracies are going to prevail, or we're going to let Russia, or in the future China or Iran or North Korea, And so we've got to stay together, we've got to stand strong, and we've got to make the case to our public. And I talk about this whenever I go to New Hampshire, about why this fight is so important to all of us. It's important to our security in the United States, to our ability in the future to remain free to determine our own future.
Senator, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.